Where do you think this emerging gig economy affects one's path to financial independence?
I think that it has so many opportunities for people, but also you've got to know what you're getting yourself into. So the companies that have been in trouble for taking advantage of employees, for underpaying and things like that, I don't think those things are good by any means. But for the ones that give people flexibility to work around their families or other opportunities to work second jobs or third jobs, things like that, I think it's the way forward. People don't necessarily want to work just 9 to 5, and the fact that there are other options, online work and other things like that, I think it's a good opportunity for people as long as it's done in the right way.
I have lots of views on this topic as well, so I will try not to speak too much. It's both an incredible disruption and an incredible opportunity. For me personally, I have 2 Airbnbs that I run, one in my home from time to time and then another separate one, and certainly the returns are much larger. The opportunity to work flexibly and remotely, to do other things like freelance writing is definitely amazing. What is interesting though is that what's happened to the labour figures in Australia and also to the average wage. So in the last 10 years, our wage just hasn't really gone up, and people haven't been able to work out why this is sort of happening, because it seems that employment's sort of edging up, but yet our average wage is going up. And there's been a lot of discourse about suggesting that this is largely as a result of the gig economy, so that particularly younger graduates are no longer necessarily coming out of university and going straight into this, well-paid full-time job. It's more likely to be more temporary or transient contract work or gig economy work, which is harder then for younger people to do things like get home loans, because it's harder to prove a stable and consistent source of income. On the other hand, though, it offers unprecedented flexibility, and I know Kirsty shared, she's talked about this, about how you could, say, have a job, say, from New York, but you can live somewhere else, which is much cheaper. So this remote working, we saw this a little bit in the documentary, so that offers unprecedented opportunities for those on the FIRE movement to, say, have a Sydney job, but not necessarily live in Sydney where it's expensive. You could live somewhere else. So those are the sorts of opportunities it offers you. But then some of the other problems too is that some of the early research into the gig economy points to it to being gendered. And if you think about it, there's been some really quite powerful protections in place to prevent discrimination against women and discrimination against age and discrimination against a lot of things. And when you're choosing on the gig economy, you're only choosing, a worker for a particular task. Those little things are all blown out the window. So there's some things that are quite significant that are going to affect people as a community. Like I said, I had lots of views on this topic.
The only other thing I would add is that it can be seen as a great opportunity for transitioning into a FIRE lifestyle, whereas you might want to, say, scale down work and actually find something that you're good at or that you enjoy that might be part-time and flexible in nature, and that might be like really what you want to do because you'll probably still want to do some sort of work after you're financially independent, and the gig economy, it will probably continue to grow in prominence, and that type of flexibility might be just what people who are FIRE are looking for from employment post mandatory job.